And a former Minister of Defense, General Theophilus Danjuma, has restated his call on Nigerians to defend themselves against armed bandits terrorizing the country. Danjuma, who is a retired Army General, made the call at the official presentation of Staff of Office to the new Akuka of Wukari, that's Manu Ali. Danjuma says his earlier call on Nigerians to defend their land against terrorists was taken for granted, and the result was clear for everyone to see. While he's called on the new Akuka to unite Wukari people to be able to effectively defend themselves against the enemies of the state and the country. Danjuma said, and I quote, "In 2017, when I called on the people to defend themselves, a kangaroo commission of inquiry was set up to investigate, and they said I was lying because there was no evidence. Well, today in the country, there is evidence everywhere. The foreign bandits are killing and taking over lands in all the places. I will not give you arms. You have to find out how the bandits got and find yours." Abiodun Adeniyi, a Rise News analyst who is also a lecturer at Bayes University, joins me now to take a look at this developments. Thank you so much, Abiodun, for being here. Well, some cheering news, but not so cheering for some areas. Well, let's start from the bottom up right now and talk about Tiwa Danjuma, really. This is a man who, let's not forget, he was former Chief of Army Staff and also former Minister of Defense. When he speaks as it concerns security, we should take him seriously. But let's talk about something he's mentioned there. He says some of these foreign elements who are perpetrating these acts, they want to sort of recolonize us as a people. And Nigerians are asking the question, who are these people who he's alleging are causing mayhem in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, when we have somebody of the status of the legendary General Danjuma making this kind of comment, it's actually very worrisome. It's once more another installment of his regular, regular public intervention, in the public space. But I also want to believe that by his stature, by his influence, he should be a man of access, access to the authorities. And of course, if he's saying that foreign bandits are threatening us, that we should get arms, where is the place of the states and the agencies of the state, the security agencies that is? Where is the place of subsisting authorities? The presidency, at the central, national level, and of course the state authorities. Where is he situating them? I would have thought that there would have been some kind of engagement that he would have carried out with these authorities, and probably if he has any information that could be helpful to the agencies for them to perform better, he could have provided his information.
Well, this is not the first time he's calling on Nigerians to take up arms, even though we know recently the presidency had released a statement says, because the Benue State governor was also speaking in the same breath. He's saying, we need to arm ourselves, but the government is saying no to that. But for someone like Tiwa Danjuma, 2017, he had raised this same issue. And one would have thought, for the fact that he is quite close to President Muhammadu Buhari, he should be listened to, isn't it? Yeah,
but that's what he's saying, that by virtue of his stature, he's a man of influence. Ordinarily, we expect that someone like that should have access to the president, and of course, has he been able to harness that capital, that social capital that he has, leveraging on his influence to talk to the president or the authorities that he's supposed to talk to. 2017, yes, he raised similar concern, and the military high command, discounted it. So to say, even with an investigative panel that didn't come to anything at the end of the day, So a perpetual call for citizens to bear arms, we have also discussed it before, looks more like a call to anarchy, and we know how dangerous this can be, especially in a trying developing country like this, where the possession of arms can be an instrument for criminality rather than an instrument for self-defense. It takes a lot to bear arms. Of course, you need lots of training, you need lots of psychological preparedness, and of course, even in sophisticated systems where citizens bear arms, we know the repercussion. The United States easily comes to mind. We have seen other developed countries like New Zealand, Britain, Canada. Citizens those days were bearing arms, and of course, they had to retrace their steps, moving away from it. know, and these are developed countries where the institutions are rather strong, the institutions are very, very supportive. But here we are in a trying developing country, weak institutions, citizens are still struggling to survive, and we are bearing arms, allowing citizens to carry arms, which just mean a resort to anarchy, because rather than thinking that you want to protect yourself with those arms, you rather be imagining how you can earn a living with those arms. And we'll see the repercussion with the few one amongst us who are able to bear arms now. We'll see how they're intimidating us through kidnapping, through terrorism, you know, and through banditry. We'll see how it is happening. But what I would rather think we should do, you know, and of course, that's why I'm surprised that the Legendary General is not talking in that direction, is to find ways of strengthening our security agencies, strengthen them more, you know, boost their morale, you know, find ways of gratifying them, you know, and encourage them some more, you know, much more than we are presently doing. Because there are lots of imperfections in the agencies, and these are things that they may not be able to say in the open, but we know that if all was better for them, if all was well, you know, terrorism would not have lasted up to this time, you know, and of course banditry will not also survive. You know, recently we're just coming out of the trauma of citizens being kidnapped on the Kaduna-Abuja road. You know how long it lasted, and we know what would have happened if it were other countries, you know, how commandos will have stepped into that place and rescued those citizens. Yes, we could say finally that maybe the Nigerian military resorted to non-kinetic means to liberate those, to bring out fellow citizens, but of course it took too long. And we're saying that there are ways in which we can strengthen our forces, you know, through encouraging them or using, you know, leveraging on modern communications technology. I mean, we're also witnesses to how drones are being used in modern times. If they are too expensive, of course, there are ways in which we can look for alternatives, you know. Alternatives, we cannot purchase them from very expensive sources. There are other sources as well. So are we exploring all the avenues available to us? You know, I would have thought, you know, yeah, I'm not, I mean, it's an elder statesman, a respected man at that, somebody who has paid his dues, in the others contributed his own due in the development of this country. Know that he has a very strong voice. But I'm seeing that his wisdom, you know, can be harnessed, you know, through the channel of relevant authority. I know sometimes you may be talking to the public, you may come out to speak in the public because you are angry. I understand, but where will this take us to? You know, my fear is that it should not permit things to degenerate further if people are encouraged in the wrong direction by asking them to bear arms.
Well, okay, so what you're saying basically is bearing of arms is a no-no, but at the end of the day,
absolutely.
From 2017 till now, if you look at the statistics, even Beacon Securities, they are talking about how many people have lost their lives since that time till now. The numbers are alarming, and it's almost saying that it's affecting the psyche of Nigerians, and we're almost just looking at how many people will die instead of the fact that people are dying at the end of the day. But you speak about encouraging the Nigerian military. Let's talk about that Chibok girl at just 24. She left as a young girl, and now she's back with 4 kids.
Very unfortunate, you know. Difficult to really explain, difficult to imagine, very painful. I mean, if you're a father, if you're a parent, you feel it. If you're a citizen, you feel it. However, if you've got a mind, a sane mind, if you're not a nihilist like these fellows that took the girls away, you definitely feel it. So it's a very sad thing. But of course, here we are, Amaka. You know, it's more like a fait accompli as it were. You know, we just have to thank God that she probably didn't die, that like many others will have done or have probably done. You know, she's back, hale and hearty. With 4 kids, you know, we just take solace in that, even though painfully. But that's the emotional, sentimental aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that, do not forget, the abduction has actually been described as one of the few wonders of the world, you know, where over 200 children were abducted and they couldn't be found more than a decade after. And the few ones who are being found, you know, are coming back with children, whereas they were originally sent for education. Well, that's the situation that we found ourselves. But going forward, we just have to find ways to make sure that such things never repeat itself again.
Absolutely.
And how do we do it again? By strengthening the instruments of states. And what are these instruments? The institutions. And in this case, we're talking about the security agencies.
Absolutely.
But it also goes beyond that.
With you.
We also have to strengthen the sociology of this country, you know, the elements, you know, our cultures, the economy, such that people will value life rather than resort to crime,
value
and
for life.
banditry and terrorism,
Adeniyi,
etc.
At the end of the day, 276 girls were taken from school. About 96 of them are still unaccounted for, but of course we keep praying that our girls are brought back home. Abiodun Adeniyi, our Right News analyst, I would have to say thank you so much for joining me tonight on the program.